Hello everybody, welcome back to another classic movie review. um, Midnight Sting, the 1992 movie starring James Woods, Louis Gossett Jr, Oliver Platt, Bruce Dern and Heather Graham. So as you can hear right there, great cast. This has been one of my favourite films for a long time. I haven't seen it for a few years. I'd kind of forgotten about it, and I was reminded about it the other day. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to seek this out and watch it again. And it was just as good as I remembered. It's probably 3 or 4 years since I last saw this. Great movie. The story here is, it's like a con movie. James Woods plays like a con artist who just gets out of jail, and he sets up a con at this town called Diggstown, which was the alternative title for this movie, Diggstown, which you may know it as. And this town's like a real boxing town, and like they love the betting, and he goes to this town basically to set up a con where Louis Gossett Jr. They make a claim that he's a boxer who could knock out any 10 Diggstown men in 24 hours in one day. And they're like, there's no way you could do that. There's no boxer could do that. And they agree to the bet. And it all spirals out of control. But so that's the basic premise. Louis Gossett Jr. has got to fight 10 people in a day, and he's got to beat them all. So that's the hook here. I get the negatives out of the way, because there are some with this movie. The main problem with this movie is it has a bit of an identity crisis. It doesn't know sometimes if it's a comedy or a drama, and sometimes it's a bit of both. And when it goes down the drama path, it really goes down the drama path, and it gets quite dark in parts, and you feel quite uncomfortable watching it because you're supposed to be enjoying it. It's like a fun comedy, but it just, I suppose, it tries to do something new in that sense, but it kind of does have a bit of an identity crisis. But saying that, I mean, the best comedy in this movie comes from the interactions really between Louis Gossett Jr. and James Woods. I mean, they're really good. They're both tremendous actors, and Bruce Dern as well. He's just absolutely delicious as the town baddie. Really a top-notch performance. I mean, he plays a real scumbag, and you really want him to get his comeuppance at the end. So again, with these classic movies, I try and focus on movies that I really enjoy and have enjoyed over the years that are kind of forgotten gems. And again, I think this comes into that category. It's a movie, like I say, it's littered with wonderful performances. It's got a young Heather Graham in it in one of her early roles. James Woods is just his usual absolute manic self. It's almost like a toned down version of his performance in Vampires. He's not as in your face, but he is manic at times in this. He's delightful to watch. Oliver Platt in one of his early roles, and he's charming as hell as usual in this role. And Louis Gossett Jr. is just a delight to watch in the whole movie. So this movie has an awful lot going for it. It has got great cast, great performances, a really interesting story, but it's also, when the boxing starts, nails that part as well. It's exciting to watch, because it doesn't matter any boxer that you put in a ring. You know, if they had to fight 10 fighters in a day, you know, that's some premise. And in the movie, Louis Gossett Jr., even though he's slightly older, he's portraying a 48-year-old man in the movie, and I think he was in his mid-50s when he made this. So that's a difficult premise to pull off, but they do it really well, and you really root for him in some of the fight scenes. So they get that side of it as well. It's a film directed by Michael Richie, who brought us things like Fletch and The Golden Child, I think, things like that. So he had some pedigree, Michael Richie, going into this movie. So I do implore you. You can see on screen now, those are some of the reviews that it got at the time, so the feedback. if you haven't seen Midnight Sting or Diggstown, do have a look for it and give it a little watch. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. If you look at IMDb, it's got a good score, it's got a good rating, it's got good reviews. So I do really encourage you to go out and watch this. Midnight Sting with James Woods. It's a very, very good, fun movie.